Welcome to this video on the themes of Henry Ole Kulet's novel, Blossoms of the Savannah. We will explore detailed notes, explanations, and case scenarios related to the major themes in the book. Blossoms of the Savannah is a novel written by Henry Ole Kulet and set in a traditional Maasai community in Kenya. It focuses on the lives of two sisters, Resian and Taiyo, who grow up in a society that strongly values culture and tradition. The novel explores serious social issues such as gender inequality, forced marriage, female genital mutilation, FGM, corruption, and lack of education for girls. It shows how young people struggle between following traditional expectations and pursuing modern education and personal freedom. The story mainly highlights the journey of girls fighting for independence in a male-dominated society. The first theme is clash between tradition and the Maasai community. In the novel, strongly holds on to traditional beliefs, customs, and rituals that have been passed down for generations. These traditions include arranged marriages, FGM, and strict gender roles where women are expected to obey men. Modernity is represented by education, human rights, and ideas of equality which challenge these cultural practices. Case scenario. Ole Kaelo believes that respecting Maasai traditions is more important than personal choice, so he expects his daughters to accept arranged marriage. However, Resian and Taiyo, after exposure to education and urban life, begin to question these traditions and reject oppression. This creates a serious conflict within the family, especially between the father and his daughters. The clash shows how society struggles to balance cultural identity with modern change. The novel highlights the theme of female oppression and gender inequality. The novel presents a deeply patriarchal society, where men dominate all decision-making processes. Women are viewed as subordinate and are often denied the right to make choices about their own lives. Important decisions, such as marriage, education, and lifestyle, are controlled by male figures like fathers and community elders. Case scenario. Resian is treated as a bargaining tool and is nearly forced into marriage with Oloisudori, a wealthy but morally corrupt man. Taiyo also suffers oppression when she is taken for FGM without her consent, showing complete disregard for her rights. Women are expected to remain silent, obedient, and submissive, regardless of their personal desires. Education is a central theme, portrayed as the only path to liberation from cultural oppression. It provides young women with knowledge and independence. Resian and Taiyo seek university admission to avoid forced marriage, showing how education empowers them to challenge harmful traditions and represents hope and transformation. Furthermore, Minik and Nkoitoi serves as a powerful example of an educated Maasai woman who has achieved leadership and success. Education helps women gain financial independence and self-confidence to challenge oppressive systems. The novel shows that without education, girls remain vulnerable to exploitation and control. The novel strongly condemns female genital mutilation, or FGM, as a harmful, inhumane cultural practice. It causes physical and emotional trauma. Taiyo's forced circumcision, despite her resistance, and Resian's fear of the same fate, demonstrate the psychological stress of this practice, which is used to control women's obedience. Courage is shown by characters who refuse to accept oppression and instead fight for their rights. Resistance often comes at a great personal cost, including violence, rejection, and emotional suffering. Case scenario. Resian boldly refuses to marry Oloisudori despite threats and pressure from her father. Taiyo initially tries to resist cultural oppression, but is physically overpowered before being rescued. The sisters' resistance represents a break from silence and submission traditionally expected of women. Minik and Nkoitoi also demonstrates courage by challenging harmful cultural practices in the community. The novel shows that resistance is difficult but necessary for social change and personal freedom. Corruption is shown through powerful individuals who use wealth and influence to exploit others. Instead of protecting society, leaders and wealthy men manipulate systems for personal gain. Oloisudori represents this corruption, as he uses money to influence decisions about marriage and family matters. Case scenario. He attempts to purchase Resian by negotiating with her father using wealth and promises of status. Some elders also support such arrangements, showing how corruption is deeply rooted in society. Victims of such exploitation, especially women and girls, have little or no protection from justice systems. The novel criticizes how power is misused to suppress the weak and vulnerable. There is a clear struggle between the older generation and the younger generation in terms of values and beliefs. The older generation strongly believes in preserving traditions, even when they are harmful. The younger generation is influenced by education and modern thinking, which promotes equality and freedom. Case scenario. Ole Kaelo insists on traditional marriage arrangements while Resian and Taiyo reject them completely. This disagreement leads to emotional separation and misunderstandings within families. Parents feel that children are disrespecting culture, while children feel oppressed and controlled. The conflict reflects a society undergoing transition and resistance to change. The novel explores how individuals discover their identity through struggle, experience, and personal growth. Resian and Taiyo initially grow up accepting cultural expectations without questioning them. As they face oppression, they begin to develop awareness of their rights and potential. Case scenario: after escaping forced marriage and FGM, Resian becomes strong, confident, and determined to shape her own future. Taiyo also transforms after experiencing hardship, gaining strength and resilience. Education plays a key role in helping them understand who they are beyond cultural limitations. The novel shows identity as something that can change and develop over time. In conclusion, Blossoms of the Savannah exposes deep injustices and criticizes harmful practices like FGM and forced marriage. It underscores the importance of education, courage, and resistance in overcoming oppression. The overall message is that society must embrace equality, education, and change.